I just wanted to go for pizza and now I have a boyfriend. Hi! Today I'm going to be talking about me living in Canada. For those of you who know me, you know that I've grown up in Finland and then I moved here to the UK in 2015 for studies. But in between living in Finland, I went to Canada for 1 year from 2008 to 2009. So I realized a few days ago that it's actually been 10 years since I lived in Canada, and that I don't feel like 10 years have gone by, not at all. So I thought it could be quite interesting to talk about some of my memories from then, because it has been 10 years, so I don't have a lot of memories, but I have some stuff that was fun for me, some fun experiences, and just some like general cultural confusions that I faced. So my family lived on Prince Edward Island because that is where my father's family is from, and it is tiny. Like, so small, and it does not take long to drive from one end to the other, which means the community is quite small and everyone knows my grandpa pretty much. So that was interesting because we went to like a family gathering thing and there were so many people there, and they were apparently all my cousins somehow, second removed or third or whatever. And it was really odd because in Finland, obviously, I only have 3 cousins and like that's it. So part of the reason why we moved there is because my parents wanted us kids to see that side of the family, because it had been a long time since we'd seen anyone from Canada. So it was a good experience for us to live there for a year. And my mom was a housewife, I guess, for that year. She took a break from work and was just a stay-at-home mom, even though we were all like school age. So 2008, when we moved there, I was 12. I was right on the cusp of puberty, which, boy. So I remember in Canada, I turned 13. We went bra shopping for my first bra in Walmart, and it was an embarrassing experience because we were there with the whole family, and obviously my mom took me aside so that we could go like shop for girl things on our own. But then after we had gotten me my first bra, which I think I remember was a Hannah Montana one, which like, go me for style, we put them in like inconspicuously in the wee like shopping cart thing, and then I remember everyone else came over, and then my brother just like reaches in and like picks up my bra and is like, "What's this?" And I'm like, oh no, the people will know that I need a bra. It wasn't that humiliating, but at that time I was like, oh no, people know that I need a bra. We were picked up for school. We went to Canadian school. We were picked up for school by a yellow school bus, which I remember I was like, wow, this is like the movies. And we were taken to school. I went to intermediate because I was going to 7th grade, and my siblings all went to lower school. And so I was on my own, and I was really nervous about that, especially because I had a history of being kind of bullied for being kind of weird and stuff, so I was really scared that I wouldn't make any friends. But Canadian school was really good for me. People liked me, I had friends. It was a really good experience, especially when you're hitting that really awkward period of being 13 and kind of like just everything's changing, and it can be quite unnerving. So it was really nice, and I'm still Facebook friends with a lot of people from there, and my 2 best friends, I hope that we can one day meet up again and talk about life, because when we were 13, I felt like I was on top of the world. It was amazing. We had lockers, like long lockers, just like in, you know, American high school movies, and I like decorated mine a little bit, and then I had my books in there, and I had like stuff in there for band. I joined band because I wanted to, you know, make the most of my experience, and I really wanted to play the flute, and it was free in band. So I got a flute from the school, and then I just got to play in band, and there was no solo practice or anything, but I learned the instrument through band initially, and that was really nice for me, because then I continued playing it for like another 4 years after. Now at school, obviously it was a little bit different from Finnish school, specifically in the way lunch happens, because in Finland you get a free school meal every day, and it's made by the school or made by someone else and brought to the school, and then you all eat together in the cafeteria. Now at this school, that's different, because in Canada you can bring your own lunch. There's no food at the school, at least in the intermediate school I was at. I think the high school had like a sales point but intermediate didn't. So I had my little lunchbox, which also I felt was very exotic. This little gray lunchbox, and my mom would pack food in for me. And it would always be very like healthy because we don't really do like Lunchables or anything like that in Finland. So my mom was just putting in like leftovers from the night before and maybe like a cookie and a juice box or like a water bottle. The thing is, not a lot of kids in my class stayed for lunch. So the room that you would have lunch in if you had your lunchbox was just one of the classrooms, which is maybe like 30 seats. So it would be me and then one of the other exchange students, and then a few of our friends were there most days but not all days. And we would just sit in there and like eat our food, and it was so odd to me. It was a very novel experience to be the odd one out for eating at school. Now, the more popular choice and what I got to do every Friday was to go out for lunch. And basically this meant to leave the school building and then you go out into the town and choose from the places they have. I think I just remember them having like a Wendy's, a Tim Hortons, and like a pizza, I want to say Pizza Paradise. I have no idea what it was called, but it was a pizza place of some kind. So that was nice. Every Friday you'd get to treat yourself. And the weird thing is though, that when people got back, they would always get like dessert from the, what's it called, like a gas station? I don't remember what it was called. It was Bulldogs, maybe something. The dog was in the name somehow. And I remember people would either get 5 gum, which at that point, if you had 5 gum, you were in. So some kids would get chocolate chips for dessert. And to me, that's weird. Like, why would you just eat chocolate chips? Like, if you want chocolate, get an actual chocolate bar. Like a cup that you would get like a Coke or a Fanta or something in, and they would just fill it with chocolate chips and just bring it into school and just eat their chocolate chips from their like big gulp. Like, that was weird. I don't understand that. To me, the thought of eating that makes me feel ill because it will be so sweet and it's not even real chocolate most likely. Yeah, it just makes me feel ill to think about eating that much chocolate chips. But that was a thing, and a cultural thing that I was not expecting at all. I remember we went on the school bus, obviously, and there was one time where me and my sisters, we didn't really sit with my brother that much because he had his own friends and we just kind of didn't sit with him. And there was one day where we all left the bus and like plotted our way home, and then we got home and my mom was like, "Where's your brother?" And we were like, "Wait, he's not with us?" Turns out he had fallen asleep on the bus and not got off the bus when we got off the bus. So the driver had to drive him back to our house all the way from the last stop. And I remember we made the driver like cookies or muffins or something, because he was a man who did not seem to like kids. I think his name was Buddy, which was odd because he did not like kids. He did not seem friendly. He was just kind of very gruff. But we tried to really be nice to him. Something that's quite different in Canada as it was to Finland was also baked goods, and specifically the way things look. Now in Finland, often baked goods, especially ones that you make at home, look quite natural. There's maybe some cream on top, some frosting, but like a natural color, maybe some like nuts and fruit. And in Canada, it was basically just an explosion of color and sweets and additives and lollipops and sprinkles and everything. So there was a bake sale at school, and it was to raise money for something, I don't remember what. And I remember my teacher, my homeroom teacher, was like, "Guys, if anyone wants to bake something, like, go for it." And I was excited because I loved baking, and I still do. I just don't really have time to do it. And I was hyped. I was like, I'm gonna make the best cake. Everyone is going to bid on it. It's gonna go for like $25 and it's gonna be amazing. So I make this carrot cake, which, if I say so myself, is stellar, so good. And I make some frosting for it, and obviously the way I made carrot cake was in like a log shape, sort of, with some frosting on it, and we didn't have any kind of like cake transportation things at home, so I had to put it in sort of like a cardboard box and cover it. So it wasn't super glamorous, but to me I was like, this is what we eat in Finland and this is what I would make at home and it would look great. So I was hype. So I take this cake in, and as I set it down with the other cakes, I very quickly realize that my cake looks like shit. It looks really bad compared to all the other cakes. There was cakes that were covered in like blue frosting with like 15 lollipops, and all these sprinkles and like everything on them. I don't think any of the other kids actually baked their cakes. I think their mothers baked their cakes. And I was like, girl, I baked my cake myself, but no one wanted it. And I remember my homeroom teacher bid $5 on it and got the cake, and they ate it in the teacher's lounge, and she told me it was really, really good. And I think she just kind of pitied me because no one wanted to eat my cake, but it was really yummy. It's just, it didn't really meet the standards of the Canadian cake baking for kids, I guess. Another experience that I really remember is going to dance school, and all I really remember is that I danced hip-hop, and my teacher was called Miss Virginia, and Miss Virginia was a very eccentric woman. I remember she was kind of like the teacher from High School Musical. She had this kind of hair that was like in a bun, I think, and she had these like flowing clothing everywhere, and the studio that we practiced in used to be an old theater or movie theater, I think. So it was really, really cool inside. I don't think I really appreciated how cool it was at the time. And so I wanted to dance hip-hop. And in order to do that, I had to buy a costume that was like on a list of things you need to buy. And this costume included jazz shoes, tights, and a leotard. And me and my mom were quite confused about why I need this if I'm going to be dancing hip-hop. And so we bought them anyway, and then I go into class, and turns out that before dancing hip-hop, we had to do like half an hour of ballet, and then just put on a pair of sweatpants and dance with the sweatpants and the leotard. It was, you know what, don't ask. I don't know. Miss Virginia, like when we did well, Miss Virginia gave us popsicles, but I don't know what had happened to these popsicles, but they were so old. I think they had melted like 5 times and then like frozen back up because they were covered in like ice that was still like kind of sticky. So I'd always be like, oh no, thank you, Miss Virginia, because I was not game for those popsicles. The second number that we did was to Beyonce's Single Ladies, and the costume included the black leotard, a little gold tutu, and then like a little golden headband, and then some of the girls, we didn't have enough for everyone, got this big like plastic diamond ring. The odd thing is that we were doing, from what I remember correctly, close to the original choreography with like the hand movements and like in a row with like other people and stuff. But the thing is, this was a number that everyone in the dance school was doing, which means that it was me, my other like 13-year-old friends, and then the front row was like 4-year-olds. Like there's a 4-year-old dancing Single Ladies, like shaking her hips. She has no idea what this means. Like why would you make a 4-year-old dance Single Lady? She does not know what a Single Lady is. The experiences at the dance school were really interesting, but everyone there was really sweet and really nice. Now obviously, because I wasn't very liked back in Finland in my school, I had no idea how to deal with like advances from guys. And I remember it was one of the first few days of school, and one of the guys in my class came up, and he like, we were walking somewhere, and he asked me if I wanted to go out with him. And I thought he just meant like to get to know each other, like for a pizza or something. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And he was like, oh cool, yes. And then I went home and I told my mom, and I was like, oh mom, someone asked me to go out with them. And I said, yeah, like I'm making friends. And then my dad comes in and he's like, Rebecca, you do realize that going out means like going steady. And I was like, wait, what's going steady? And he's like, you have agreed to date this boy. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? I just wanted to go for pizza and now I have a boyfriend. It was scary, but I was like, you know what, fine. It didn't last very long, mostly because I was super scared. I remember, I think I told my friends I wanted to break up with him because I heard that he wanted to hug me after school, and I was like, there ain't no hugging be happening. I remember a lot of really sweet times being in my grandma's house, just watching Disney Channel and Grammy making like waffles and bacon and eggs for us and eating breakfast and going to the beach and like fun stuff like that. We would play poker with my step-granddad in the backyard. That was also fun. Once in a while we got to visit my grandpa over in Halifax, and that was sweet. We would always have craft dinner and hot dogs. And to this day, the only mac and cheese that I eat is the Kraft Dinner brand, because it's the only one that really feels like authentic, even though obviously the ingredients are not super authentic. I think probably the weirdest experience that I don't know why I remember this, was there were 2 Jehovah's Witnesses, I think. They came to our door, and my dad at that point was a pastor at the local church, and so he was like obviously not gonna kind of believe what they were saying because we were of a different religion. And I remember, but my dad was trying to be so nice, and so he like was like, oh, you guys want to come in, like we could like talk, discuss theology and stuff. The thing is, he invited them in while we were watching a movie. I remember our whole family was sat in the living room, we were watching Journey into the Center of the Earth, and so we ended up finishing this movie, our family, and then these two Jehovah's Witnesses with us on the couch, drinking a Pepsi, because my dad offered them a Pepsi. And the thing is, like, these guys came back. Like, there was one point where I think my dad invited them to help us carry our ping pong table, like, down into our basement. So these guys just came over to help my dad carry the ping pong table. And I don't know if they thought that by being nice they would be able to, like, somehow convert us, or if they were just, like, happy that someone was being nice to them. But yeah, it was a super odd thing because we didn't know these guys at all, but my dad was just like, oh, why not? Let's be friendly. And it was just odd. I don't have any super wild story times. It was a pretty mellow year. It was really nice. I learned a lot about myself. I had a lot of really nice friends. I still have photos. I like look back at the photos. It was really nice. I hope to go back someday. Sadly, I don't have the money right now because I'm going to Seoul in the summer, and then Greece in the summer, and then back home after the summer. But hopefully, maybe before I graduate or after I graduate, I can go back and visit, because I have not seen my grandma and my grandpa for at least 5 years, I want to say, and that's a long time to not see someone that you love. So I hope to go back at some point and like revisit the places that these memories happened at. Thank you for watching. If you did, I know this was like a super personal topic, so if you don't like me or you're not interested in me as a person, this was probably not your cup of tea. So if you watched it, thank you, and I will see you next time. Bye! I finally have the no capes hair. No capes. I specifically wanted to have my hair down for this video so that I could be the no capes lady.